Remember how just the other day when I says as far as North and South Korea goes, I'm very much in the nothing ever happens club? Well, something happened which resulted in nothing happening. Basically, North Korean soldiers briefly crossed the demilitarized zone on Tuesday, South Korea has said, ahead of a rare state visit to Pyongyang by Russian President Vladimir Putin. The soldiers retreated after the South Korean military fired warning shots, but Seoul believes their violation of the border was not intentional. South Korea said it believed the soldiers accidentally crossed as they were fortifying the border, the second such incident in over a week. The border itself is not fenced and the signposts are obscured by heavy growth of vegetation. 20 to 30 soldiers came about 20 metres below the military demarcation line and inside the demilitarised zone, South Korea's Joint Chief of Staff said in a statement. It is the second crossing incident in 2 weeks, with Seoul saying North Korean troops crossed into South Korea on 9th June with tools including pickaxes. Well, hopefully not an axe. Remember that video? Very funny. Fucking Imagine an international incident being caused by a fucking tree. They retreated when South Korean reacted with loudspeaker warnings and warning shots. The JCS noted that North Korea has been sending a large number of troops into the DMZ to clear vegetation and build fortifications since April. Military officials in Seoul noted that North Korean troops have suffered multiple casualties while working around the DMZ due to landmine explosions during construction efforts. They added that North Korea completely restoring old guard posts in the area in January before planting new landmines on roads between the countries. This would appear to be aimed at strengthening control over North Korean troops and residents, which includes prevention of defection, the JCS said. The DMZ is one of the world's most heavily fortified areas, a no man's land that stands as a remnant of the Cold War. From Gyeonggi-do in the west to Gangwon-do in the east, the 160-mile-long DMZ divides the Korean peninsula in two. While 196 people fled North Korea to South Korea in 2023, almost none crossed the fortified border. Most instead crossed into China, then to South Korea. No one actually defects over the border, like into North Korea, except the ones that have done it have been commie larpers. And it's never worked out well for them. Like, they've all thought, oh yeah, because I defected from like the horrible capitalist West, they're going to love me. No, they all get sent to camps. Who was the guy that ran over and like ripped up his passport and all that type of stuff, and the North Koreans just jailed him? I think he's still there. Actually, I'll need to double check. Don't quote me on that. I'll need to double check. Yeah, so the people that have defected to North Korea, they've all been commie larpers. The latest crossing comes as North Korea prepares to receive Russian President Vladimir for his first visit to the country in more than 20 years, after North Korean leader Kim Jong-un travelled to Russia last year. The US has expressed concern about the deepening relationship between the two countries, saying it was troubled by the supply of North Korean missiles for the war in Ukraine. Alongside the US, South Korea has also accused North Korea of supplying Russia with artillery and other equipment, likely in exchange for food and military aid. You know, they've got missiles, but they don't have food. There's been heightened tension between Seoul and Pyongyang in the last few weeks as South Korea resumed propaganda broadcasts towards the north in response to Mr. Kim's regime sending hundreds of balloons carrying rubbish across the border, which is the one that we just covered. The poo balloons being fucking flung across the border. Aye. But yeah, like, this is probably just a lot more like, you know, fear mongering crap, like with wars kicking off all over the place in the world and the economy going to shit, and everyone's like, oh, North Korea, oh, like shit like this happens in the DMZ all the time. There's always incidents in the DMZ, and as a result of all of them, nothing ever happens.